Siyanibingelela bazalwane egameni lika Jesu. We welcome you, all our viewers in different platforms. Siyanamukela, and we thank God for this wonderful day, which is our third week pushing our subject, building the inner man, and we are trying to point us to a certain direction. I think our senior pastor dealt extensively with the topic born for the impossible. So we are trying to steer the whole ship to that direction of knowing that yonke into oyidingayo empilweni iqhamuka ngaphakathi. If you notice for the past 2 weeks, if I speak about if I first look at our subject, building the inner man, I put in a verse. I put in a certain comment about building the inner man. I think the first was Ephesians 3 verse 16. Then the second week we looked at Proverbs 24 verse 3. Now I want us to look at how God deals with Adam, looking at the subject. Bible, interesting enough, lithi uNkulunkulu made Adam to name all the animals. But then there's a verse that is very key, the lithi, and there was no helper suitable for him. That means uNkulunkulu went on an expectation to find a helper suitable for Adam. And uNkulunkulu had to do what he knows how to do best. That was to bring something from within. He caused him to lay rest, and he took up one of his ribs and formed Eva, who was a suitable helper for Adam. Now this brings about a principle that everything that you need is not outside, but it's within. Sometimes it's easy to actually ask for help from abantu because you know Guti Amachidak will come through for you. You know Guti Abanganbako, your girls are gonna come through for you, your family, your parents are gonna come through for you, your cousin, your favorite cousins are gonna come through for you. But now Unkulunkulu is teaching us that whatever that if he created everything from within himself. If ever we had time, I will deal with what does it mean to be a source, what does it mean to be a father, to be a source, an originator, but we don't have time. But if Unkulunkulu created everything from within him, that means Unkulunkulu expects the same thing from us, to know that whatever that you need is within you. It doesn't matter whether it's a new job, whether it's a new business idea, whether it's a house, whether it's a car. Whatever that you need, it is built within you. Whatever that is suitable for you is built within you. So that's just a comment I want to bring in again. But we're still looking at our Psalms 34 verse 5. That's our key verse. But this time, I want us to have a different topic, moving along. Our topic this time is decisions, or decision. Decisions or decision. That's our topic. I try to dress about giving relax, because I'm trying to relax today in dealing with this topic. Psalms 34 verse 5, Ufundaganje Amplified. They looked to him and were radiant. We dealt with that part. They shifted their focus, and there was a better outcome. They shifted their focus, there was a better outcome. Their faces will never blush in shame or confusion. Then there's a promise, an assurance. If ever you look to him, if ever you focus on something, you will never be put to shame. On this case, if you focus on God, you will never be put to shame. It is very extraordinary that you will never be put to shame. At least you will not fail in life. At least you will not be attacked or you will not be opposed. Even in your opposition, even in your failures, you will never be put to shame. But what I want to bring in within this text today is that, again, looking at the question we had used to interrogate the verse, was that if ever they look to him, before. That's the question we posed the first time we were introduced to Psalms 34. Then what I want to bring in again is that if they looked to him, that means they took a decision to shift their focus. That's what I want to build on. they took a decision. If they look to him, that means they took a decision. Interestingly enough, into engithola empilweni is that it is impossible to live impilo and not make a decision. You cannot live a life, wake up every day, spend 8 hours at work or 9 hours, whatever the case is, or 12 hours, depending on what you do, and not make a decision. When you woke up today, you made a decision. When you did whatever that you did, it was out of a decision. So it is impossible to live this life and not make a decision. So decisions are made out of choices. That means you must have a choice. You must have a choice to actually do something. Then you make a decision. Now, the problem that we are facing empilweni is not that we don't know how to make a decision, but the problem that we're facing in life is that the decision that I'm making a correct decision? If I'm saying there is a correct decision, that means there is an incorrect or a bad decision. That means there is a right decision or a good decision, then there's a bad decision. So you'll never know the decision oyenzayo ukuthi i-right or i-wrong until you have made the decision. That's the first thing. You will never know whether you've made a right decision or a wrong decision until you've made the decision, number one. And number two, until you see the consequences of the decision. I struggle to believe, or I struggle to understand ukuthi what propels us to make decisions or to make bad decisions. I'm worried because it is easier to be spiritual and make poor decisions. It is easier to be spiritual and make poor decisions. And it is easier to be non-spiritual and make correct decisions. Now, decisions, ngokwami, should be based on the source of life. I don't know if that's going to make sense. A decision oyenzayo, I even a foundation of who are you or who do you belong to. That's how a decision should be made, I think. I want us to look at decisions that we make, whether good or bad. But in doing so, I want to bring in a thought. That I presented some time ago. I said some time ago, your thoughts show us your habits or your actions. First we have thoughts, then we have actions. From your actions, we can see habits. From habits, we can see a lifestyle. From a lifestyle, you pick up a character. And from a character, we get your destiny. I'll say it again. Your thoughts tell us your actions. Your actions will create certain habits. Habits will create a lifestyle. And the lifestyle will build a character. And your character tells us your destiny. Meaning it is through how you think that we are able to see where you are going. A Bible in the book of Proverbs, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. Now, that scripture can be interpreted in two ways. It can be interpreted in the sense of umuntu uyilento ayicabangayo, but at the same time, umuntu uyala acabanga khona. Meaning, your life takes a trajectory of how you think. If we can understand your train of thoughts, then it is easy for us to actually be able to see when we are in peace. Now, having said my thoughts of you thinking, acting, habits, lifestyle, character, and destiny, now I want to reverse that a bit, because every thought is fed by information. Every thought is fed by information. Whether it's good or bad information, every thought is fed by information. But between information to destiny, there are decisions that need to be made. It is a decision to live a righteous lifestyle or to live a healthy lifestyle. It is a decision. It is a decision again to live a bad lifestyle. It's a decision to build or destroy a relationship. It's a decision to whether you want to have a good relationship with abantu or a bad relationship with abantu. It is a decision. But now every decision has to have a thought and an information. The Bible in the book of Hosea chapter 4 verse 6. For my people perish because of lack of knowledge. One of my favorite verses. My people perish because of lack of knowledge. Is it? I don't know. I found it interesting that uNkulunkulu, he still calls them my people. Even though they are perishing. But uNkulunkulu still calls them my people. That means, you can have God and perish. You can be a prayer warrior, you can be umuntu faster and perish. Because you lack knowledge. Because you lack knowledge. If you read part B and part C of Hosea 4 verse 6, uNkulunkulu uma ethi they lack knowledge. I want us to bear in mind that to lack knowledge does not mean that the knowledge is not available. The Bible does not tell us that the knowledge was not available. It tells us that they lacked knowledge. So there is a possibility that the knowledge was available, but they chose not to look at the knowledge of God. Because the Bible says, since you've rejected my laws, I will reject you. On the basis of your decision, on the basis of your decision of rejecting it, they lack knowledge because there is no knowledge. They lack knowledge because they rejected the knowledge. So that means, they chose not to take in. If ever you don't take the information of God, that means there's another information or knowledge that you are consuming. So your thoughts are made up of information that you consume. So uNkulunkulu meant my people perish because of lack of knowledge. That means abantu, they were perishing because they chose to reject the knowledge of God. They made a sober decision. I will not go where God tells me to go. Ask Jonah. Jonah is a typical example. He made a deliberate decision not to go where God wanted him to go. The Bible is full of men and women who made poor decisions. It's full of those people, and it's full of people who made good decisions. We can go through this thing until Jesus comes back of people who have made good decisions. But I want to say this. Your decisions are seeds of your future. Your decisions are seeds of your future. My plan is not to finish this today, but it's just to lay a foundation. Your decisions are seeds of your future. So, if ever then you want to know where you are going, manje, look at your decisions that you are making now. uNkulunkulu, interestingly enough, in one of our favorite scriptures within the Christian community, is this verse, I place before you a blessing and a curse, life and death. But if it's God, I'm advising to choose life. uNkulunkulu places choices before the people, then he says to them, choose. But also, if I give you advice as God, choose life. So uNkulunkulu is clever enough to allow, or is intelligent enough to allow people to make a choice. One guy, why, if uNkulunkulu is almighty, why angasenzi ukuthi sezintando yakhe without us making us, be like robots basically? Just do the will of God. When you are born, you do the will of God. Every day you wake up and do the will of God. uNkulunkulu, because he created in his image, I learned that uNkulunkulu allows us to make choices. Have you ever made a bad decision? I've done that many times. Where I make a wrong or a bad decision, and then I'm like, God, where were you all this time? To make this decision. Now, if ever then that's going to be the case, allow me to just lay this foundation through this text. Luke chapter 10, verse 40 to verse 42. But Martha was distracted with so much serving. So she approached Yeshua, I'm using TLV, and said, Master, doesn't it concern you that my sister has left me to serve alone? Then tell her to help me. But answering her, the Lord said, Martha, Martha, you are anxious and bothered about many things. I don't know. Last week we said, if you're a master of everything, you become if you're a jack of all trades, you become a master of none. If you're bothered about many things, you become unstable in life. Like uMartha. uMartha wenza into enhle, serving uJesu. uJesu, but you are anxious and bothered about many things. But only one thing is necessary. For Mary has chosen the good part. Wow, that's interesting. You are anxious and choosing a lot of things. You are making decisions about a lot of things. But Mary made one choice. And she chose a good part. Which, now, this is the interesting part. Which will not be taken away from her. I think my desire in life is to make good choices. Because, Bazalana, we will not. Unkulunkulu has given us 70 years to live. And after that, it's grace. But I don't want to sit one day and say to myself, yes, hey, if I evaluate my life, I've made 90% of bad decisions and 10% of good decisions. Because if even you call it's a decision. So now, we read a text that we all know. The city of Bethesda, the Toboga Lazarus, Mary and Martha. Mary, uMartha, older sister, uyasukuma, like my firstborns do as always. Oh, I think she wasn't a firstborn. I'm just assuming was a firstborn. Uyasukuma, we serve uJesu. Into right, she's a good hostess. She's very good at hosting. Userve uJesu, userve abafundi baJesu. You know, she's active. She's active. This woman is active. She's doing a lot of things. But useswakhe, on the other hand, uvela ukhetha uhlale enyaweni zaJesu. Now, uMartha then goes to Jesus and says, Lord, Lord, are you not concerned? Like, Jesus, I'm busy, and my sister, on the other hand, is doing her own things. Mina, get busy, and I'm trying to make sure that you are okay. I'm trying to make sure that everybody is okay. Utu Jesu, Martha, Martha, you are anxious about a lot of things, but you are achieving nothing. You are making a decision that is not beneficial to you. Martha, Martha, you are anxious about a lot of things, but what you do not have results. But on the other hand, Mary has chosen one thing. And on that one thing, it cannot be taken away from her. Mary just made a white. She made a white because she wanted to feed her inner man, to build the inner man. She made a white decision. She made a wise decision of sitting on the feet of Jesus and listening to what God is saying to her. What the text is telling us, if ever empilweni you want to make it in life and make decisions that are gravitating to what God has called you to do. If ever you're about to make a decision in your life, make a decision that gravitates you towards doing what God has called you to do. Because if you do what God has called you to do, you will succeed. Prophet Isaiah watches, for my servant will succeed. You are bound to succeed if you do and make a decision that is gravitating you towards what God has called you to do. Now, this is where I want to begin this. If ever Mary made a right decision, that it is possible to make a right decision on the basis of information that you receive. When I spoke about Isaiah, when I spoke about Hosea 4 verse 6, when people say, when God says, I want they perish because of lack of knowledge, now you have to know it is one thing to have information, but it's another thing to have incorrect information. If ever you look at Impilo Eva, when she made a decision to eat of the fruit, it was on the basis of information. Because uNkulunkulu, interesting enough, when uNkulunkulu comes to Adam, uNkulunkulu akabuza ukuthi uAdam ubona ngani ukuthi they are naked. Uthi uNkulunkulu Adam, who told you you are naked? That means which info, or who is this person who gave you incorrect information for you to make a wrong decision? Because Bible whoever fell into sin, but Adam committed sin. To commit something, that means you deliberate on it and think about it and say, I am going to do this. But uNkulunkulu Adam, I see what whoever did, but who fed you an information for you to make an incorrect decision? Meaning, when Adam on the basis of decision, basically Adam wants the decision nathi, and we are falling with him. We are committing sin with him. Same thing, when Christ made a decision to obey God, we made a decision with him. Now, I want to build on that. Uguti, you have to make right choices. Utu Jesu go Mary, she has made a right choice. I don't know which decision you have to make now. I don't know what you are facing in Peloniako. I'm not sure which decision, big or small decision you have to make. But the trick is, are you going to make a right decision? Number one. Number two, what informs you on that decision? I want to close with this. I want to close with this statement. If ever you are going to do something, do it right the first time. But then the trick comes in and says, how do you know it's the right decision? Ayikho into ebuhlungu empilweni like living the life of regrets because of your decisions you've made. Do not live a life of regrets because of the wrong decisions you made. Others you made those decisions consciously. Others you ungaqondile. But I think either ways you made a decision. But I want to close this word with these words, which is I will show you. Mary made a right decision that cannot be taken away from her. Make a decision that will make you to have things that will never be taken away from you. Make a decision that will give you things, that will give you access to places that will never be taken away from you. That's why I want to close this. Make a decision. Make a choice. Choose to do something that will give you something, or will give you, or will put you in a position where you will receive things that will never be taken away from you. Make a decision. Make a decision today. With those words, bazalwane siyambonga uNkulunkulu, and we are very grateful. Siphinde futhi bazalwane, and sicela ukuthi siqhubeke sikhiphe umnikelo weshumi, tithes, our offerings, free will offerings, and our pledges, so that we can continue spreading the gospel through these avenues and through these platforms. So we ask you, bazalwane, to give, as you can see the banking details in front of you. Please do give, or keep on giving. Unkulunkulu anibusise till we see you again. Amen.